Greetings and welcome to a brand new video. As you may have heard my dog sneeze in the background, I apologize, but nonetheless, today we don't really have a hardcore Road to Glory episode just yet. I think the next one might be tomorrow or the day after. I'm going to do an analysis of a game because we're due for one. And this is the tweet I posted yesterday. Now, if you guys didn't know, the reason I haven't been streaming the past 4 or 5 days and the last YouTube video was on Thursdays because I was in Germany, because I was invited to attend the Draft Story Cup as a guest, not to play. I wish I was playing. You guys may have known that I also work this year for B-Part Gaming and The Guide, and I do tutorials on their channel, so I'm part of the team, and they coincidentally also are the ones responsible for organizing the Draft Story Cup, so I was invited. I met the guys over there, long overdue to meet those guys. Amazing guys. If you guys didn't check out the Draft Story Cup, maybe check out the past videos. One of the coolest, if not arguably the coolest tournament format in FIFA esports. They're really, helping a lot in esports. You guys may have seen their tournament, and they banned a drop back. They banned, come back on defense. They made a minimum requirement for depth and all that stuff, so it was really cool. Because as we all know, drop back is really annoying. But nonetheless, this video is not about that. This video is about me and my story with delay, FUT Champions, responsiveness, gameplay responsiveness, because I've had a lot of thought about this. And if you missed my tweet, I said I played FUT Champions from Germany, and this is why it felt better. And if we open the tweet longer, it's a really long post, which I understand if people didn't want to read it, but I'm going to make a video on it because, if you didn't want to read it, here's your video experience. I'm going to explain this. Let's go through this post, and I'm going to explain it point by point. Obviously, like I said here, this is only an EU experience. I'm well aware that NA is probably worse. I'm well aware that the rest of the world region, Australia has it worse, etc., etc. This is just my experience as someone who's lived in Rome, right? And so, like I said, I played the weekend league in Germany, and I usually play out of Rome, and I definitely noticed the connection being better. I said, obviously, I felt that because it was never a doubt in my mind based on things that I've thought about in the past few years. This was just the confirmation of a hypothesis I had. So my theory was confirmed, at least based on this one single weekend. And this is kind of a situation that I was talking about over the past 3 years. We've seen like pros, we've seen just even casuals traveling. Maybe you have someone from Italy going to Germany, meeting family or friends there, and they happen to play weekend league there, and they would claim that, oh my god, in France, in the Netherlands, and in Germany, the game is so much more responsive compared to what I play in Spain or in Italy or in Eastern Europe or this or that. And then we've also seen the opposite. So I've seen Germans. They played from Spain, and they said, guys, it's the same exact delay we get from Germany. There's no difference. So I guess the first thing to mention is that we will all believe our own experiences before we believe anyone else. So take this whole experience that I had as you will. But generally, I think we can all agree that no matter where you live, the online experience in FUT is just not good enough. It needs to get improved. It needs to improve dramatically, whether you live in Germany, whether you live in Italy, whether you live in the Arctic Circle. Like, it doesn't matter. The connection is absolutely awful. But before I explain exactly what was different, like I said in my post, I wanted to talk about the negative repercussions about this in the community, because I feel like this has divided our community kind of with everything. In our community, it seems like people just can't agree on anything. And recently, it seems to have been, like I said here, a Germany versus Spain battle on Twitter, where Spanish people, are against Germans and Germans are against Spanish. One saying there's delay, one saying we all have the same one, blah, blah, blah. And, you could argue that even if we cite it all together, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's not really accelerating the process at which this could be fixed. But at the end of the day, whether it does accelerate the problem or not, it makes no sense for us to fight against each other. It's not helping anyone. You're just attacking each other when no one in the scene is responsible for this. All right, there's no one single FIFA player who decided, let's make these servers the way they are, and let's put them all close to this country and far from that country, blah, blah, blah. It's not our responsibility, so we're not helping anyone. Personally, a lot of people are probably at fault for this divide, myself included. Like I said here, I did try to improve over time on this. In recent times, I've stopped doing what maybe I did too much of a few years ago. And what I mean by that is coming off a bit too aggressive and trying to take away credit for anyone's good FUT Champions results, depending on where they live. So maybe in the past, you know, because I was so salty and lost in my own anger, maybe if someone got a 30-0 and they lived in France or in Germany, I'd be like, yeah, try doing that in Italy. No need for me to do that. No need for anyone to do that. And that sort of attitude probably built up some defense mechanisms from a lot of people who are or happen to be servers, because they, you know, at that point they start saying, we also have delay, which they do for sure. They do for sure. And so that obviously could have led to a negative spiral where it ends up being Southern Europeans and Eastern Europeans, you know, sending jabs at Northern Europeans who are closest to servers, and then vice versa. The Northern Europeans are saying, you guys are just making excuses. You don't have more delay. And so it's just this negative spiral. So I think the first thing to note is that we all have delay. No matter where you live, we all have delay. And I also said that when I make these claims that it felt better playing from Germany, it's not me saying that if the playing field was even, German spots at tournaments would be taken by Italians or Spanish people or, I don't know, Greeks or anyone. It's not that simple. And honestly, it's not even about that. It's just about genuine enjoyability. Not everything has to be related to competitive. It's just a matter of it felt playing Weekend League felt playing better from here as it did from my own home. And even if we had, right, perfect, the best of the best issues, like even if EA solved issues to the maximum extent that they could, I don't think it's crazy to think that being close to a server would help. I don't think Spanish people or Italian people are crazy to think that. It makes sense. Distance will always matter, guys. Even in a perfect world of FIFA, whoever is close, whether even if it's such a tiny amount that's like really negligible and you can't notice, it will matter. Just because that's just how it is. We don't have the technology in the world to make distance irrelevant when two people connect to the server. It will always matter. Let alone in this state of FIFA where internet is an absolute disgrace. It's the connection, at least. It's so bad. So it's going to matter even more. And so if we look back at my story, like I said here, anyone who's known me since FIFA 17 servers, they've been installed. I've put a lot of thought into it. And the initial seed was me looking at my internet package and looking at people with the same internet package who lived in France or in Germany or even worse than mine, and they would get 5 bars. And back in 17, I never saw a single 5 bar, but they would. And some people would be like, well, you know, you do have the same speeds, but different ISPs, internet service providers, maybe that's why. But that was never a good enough explanation for me. And it got to a point where I would have completely different matches against the same person depending on where we matched. You know, I've matched people in online tournaments on websites, and then, you know, the game would go in a certain way, and then I would match them in FUT Champions and the game would go in a completely different way. And it's not even about winning or losing. It's not like I won against them on peer-to-peer playing in friendlies where servers aren't a factor and I lost to them in FUT Champions, therefore that's my proof. No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in FUT Champions, I could play the same person. Forget the result. I could not leave my own half because I couldn't turn past this, that, and his players were moving at twice speed. Play the same game seconds after, and I could now exit my half. Nothing changed. The only variable was where that match was played. One on peer-to-peer and one on servers where two people are at completely different distances to that server. And that's really the second phase, right? Of me being like pretty sure that there was something wrong. And I've tried this with many friends. I've had a couple of friends that, you know, have purposely matched me in FUT Champs just to test that. And moments after, we'd play a friendly and peer-to-peer, and it kept confirming my theory. Now, that's not me saying that nobody in Germany, France, and Netherlands experiences bad gameplay or even the same gameplay that I experienced from Rome. After all, this was 1 weekend of testing, but at the end of the day, a lot of Germans and Dutch people did listen to some pros like Moaba when only 1 weekend they played from Spain and he claimed it was the same. So it's one data point, but at the end of the day, everyone listens to a single data point so far. So it's not too crazy for me to come to this conclusion, in my opinion. And obviously, there's so many other factors, like maybe the wiring in your apartment building is causing even more issues, and then someone else might be closer, might have better wiring in the same city and even has a better time. So some factors are obviously, out of my depth, and I'm not including those. But let's get into the nitty gritty, right? I was in Germany and I was playing from the Take TV studios. They had great Wi-Fi, obviously, way better speeds because, they kind of have to. They're a production company. They have this gaming setup. It's going to be great internet there. And so that's obviously way better than what I have home and probably held. But at the same time, FIFA doesn't consume a lot of bandwidth. You don't need that much. I have like 100 megabyte per second connection. That's 10 times more than what I should need. But nonetheless, even though we had such great internet, there was also a lot of factors that should have made the situation worse. For example, tons of people were connected to that Wi-Fi via their cell phones, their consoles, their computers. Tons of people were playing Weekend League at the same time. If you play 3 people in my house playing Weekend League, good luck. It's not going to be fun. And on top of that, obviously, they were streaming the event. They had 2 streams going on, a German one and an English one. Now, I don't know what kind of internet setup they had in terms of splitting the internet load, but the point is that tons of things were using that internet, and it showed. We had speed up lag. We had tons of DCs going on that weekend, and even with all this, I'm telling you, it was way better than Rome for me. There were multiple times throughout the weekend, maybe on Saturday or Sunday, when I was like, this is slower compared to a few games earlier. But even the slower gameplay, even the worst of the worst under the worst condition possible in that weekend, was way more responsive than what I had usually in Rome. How this translated into the game is that everything, like I wrote here, with the right stick was absolutely insane. Like, player switching never felt better for me. Either I became a Jedi surgeon overnight, or the game was moving well. As soon as I came back to Rome, I played a few games today and yesterday, and guess what? It felt like my right stick and L1 switch buttons were broken, but they weren't. It's just, I was back in Italy, and that's just one thing that doesn't work here. Also, skills registered way faster. But the main thing for me was that I was not ice skating, guys. What I mean by ice skating is that in Rome, it feels like my players are playing on ice. When you play on ice, and you have shoes, if you're walking on ice, you know that it's hard to control yourself, right? You have no traction. So if I'm jockeying somebody on ice, when it feels like I'm on ice, they might be going left. I'm turning left with them, and then they turn right, and I'm still turning left because I moved right, but it takes a while. It feels like you don't control. That feeling in Germany, whether it was fast gameplay, slow gameplay, was almost inexistent, and if it was existent, it was what I would be able to control even in Rome. You know what I mean? So even at this worst in Germany, I could control it. And so it was way better for me. Now, while I did go 29-1 in Rome the weekend before, and I didn't do as well in Germany, that doesn't mean that my point isn't valid. It doesn't mean that my experience gets undermined. It's not smart to make points only based on results, because it's not like connection is good because you won. If you're winning, it doesn't mean that your connection is good. It doesn't mean that your gameplay is good. And it doesn't mean that your gameplay is bad just because you lost. The key to remember here is that gameplay is good when you feel you can be held accountable for the result, at least, ignoring the gameplay mechanics that are there with or without delay, right? So if I felt like I was accountable for the results, even if there was like some bullshit happening in the game, then I knew the connection was better. And that's how I felt. I lost more games in Germany, but I didn't, I felt like there was something to analyze. More often than not, if I play from Italy and I lose in FUT Champions, I'm like, there's nothing to analyze here. What do you want me to analyze? Like, I can't tell myself to turn faster, to cover that faster, to shoot faster, if the game simply doesn't allow me. In Germany, I lost games, and I said I could have done that better, faster, stronger, whatever you want, because I could have. The connection allowed me to. Of course, there were moments when, I lost games that I shouldn't have, because it's just how FIFA works. But overall, I was feeling accountable for my losses. And obviously, this doesn't mean that getting 29-1 and getting FUT Champions verified is not possible in other countries. It is possible. People do it. I've done it. For years I've done it, but it's not the same. Just because it's possible doesn't mean it's okay that the difference is noticeable. Doesn't mean okay that the servers are in this state. Just because someone does it doesn't mean it's proof that the situation is all right. Otherwise, FIFA 19 would have been regarded as a great FIFA because have we ever seen a FIFA where someone won tournaments as consistently like Tex? I mean, based on that matter alone, you could argue, oh, well, if someone's winning consistently, then there's a good skill gap in this game. But I think we can all agree that it's not the what, it's the how. Seeing how people are doing things kind of like, you know, gives more light on the issue at hand. And honestly, this isn't even about competitive. Like, it's not all about competitive. This is mostly about enjoyability and playability, because hand on heart, I can confirm that I would have had to play like 60 to 90 games in Germany to be as stressed as I would be from 30 from Rome. 30 from Rome feel extremely difficult. It's essentially the difference between going up 10 flights of stairs and going down. If I have to go down 10 flights of stairs, you know, it's going to take some time, but I'm not going to be tired. If I'm going up 10 flights of stairs, I'm going to lose my breath more. That's the difference. In Germany, playing Weekend League, for me, it was extremely, extremely easy. And if I would have played in those conditions in Rome, and by those conditions, not internet conditions, but like people around me being tired from being at 10 hours events all day and doing some work here and there, I would have gotten a maximum of like 23 wins, and 23 wins would have been extremely exhausted. I finished 25 wins and 4 losses. I don't think I played the last one in Germany, or maybe it was 25 and 5. Either way, Elite 2 finish. And it was extremely stress-free for me. It was really easy, and I could have easily, I had 4 of the 5 losses, or 4 losses at least, where I knew, like, yeah, I should have really won that game. So, you know, it could have easily been Elite 1 finish, but it was stress-free. At the end of the day, that's all I gotta say on the matter. Everyone's gonna believe their experience first. This was mine, and this is me closing my chapter on this topic, because in my eyes, it's confirmed. For me, gameplay is way better there. And I didn't even play in the best possible conditions that I could in Germany, and it was still miles better than it is from Rome. I hope you guys enjoy it. Don't take it personally if you live, you know, in an area near you. It's not like an absolute statement. It's just my opinion. And anyways, let me know you guys' thoughts. I'm sure we can all agree that, you know, gameplay online is absolutely disgusting. But until next time, peace out.